Hello mga besh, mga bye! My name is Nini and I am a third-year law student, and welcome to my very first video! Here we will talk about the everyday struggle of having the existential dread of failing in life as my main driving force to keep swimming in this metaphorical shark tank that is law school. Now I know why you clicked on this video. Either you are an aspiring law student, or you're already a law student, or nanay kita, or professor kita. Whatever the reason is, either way, I am going to talk about the 5 things I learned during my first year in law school. You have to invest on law books, libro. So when I was in first year law school, I admit that I didn't really see the need to invest in law books because honestly, during that time, I was still about 60% sure about pursuing this particular career path. Some of my friends know that being a lawyer is one of my childhood dreams. Char! However, during that time, hindi po ako sigurado sa kakayanan ko na tapusin yung pag-aaral ko. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and of course, financially. And so, during my first year in law school, hindi po ako bumili ng mga books. I settled for photocopies of my textbooks. Thank you, RD Bookstore. You the man. Hindi ko naman din po sinasabi na hindi kayo makakapasa sa law school or makakatake ng bar unless bibili po kayo ng mga original copies of your books. But as advised by some of our professors, it's much easier to have this than 100 pages of your photocopies of your book. They also advise us to take notes in our books and our codons. So as you can see, may mga sulat-sulat and highlights po yung libro ko po. And that will turn out to be very handy when you're reviewing for the bar exam. Another thing is, in my case at least, medyo nakaka-apekto po sa pag-aaral ko at sa konsentrasyon ko po kung medyo magulo po yung notes o medyo pangit tingnan yung binabasa ko. For me, having a crisp, clear, and easy to bring copy of my book is now an essential. That brings us to number 2. You have to put your whole heart into law school. In law school, I have learned that you have to bet your whole life, liberty, and property, and whole heart into it. Why? Because law school never gets easier. The workload, the cases, the legal concepts will get even more taxing and even more complex. And if your heart is not into it, then eventually po, mananalo po talaga yung heart natin kaysa sa mind natin. Wherever our heart is, that's where we go. My main point is, if you go to law school, you have to have a reason. Whatever that reason may be, it should be your driving force to carry you through sleepless nights, bad, humiliating recitations, and occasionally failing grades. So, during my first year in law school, I had to do a lot of self-reflection.
Do I really want it? Am I ready to make sacrifices that I have to make? Am I ready to face failures?
And of course, the answer is
No.
never. You are never going to be ready for the feeling of failing at something that you worked so hard on. But you have to. Char. Which brings us to number 3. You have to be ready for anything. Before law school, I never really cared about my grades. But maybe that's because of much of my early education was spoon-feeding, facts drilling, ordinary lectures where the teacher does most of the work. Yung teacher palagi yung nagsasalita. But in law school, baliktad po. Because most of the law schools here in the Philippines employ the Socratic Method of learning. From the root word itself, Socra, char, corny. The Socratic Method is basically where the teacher calls on his or her students to answer questions, and the teacher is mostly facilitating the class, but the discussion mostly comes from the students. minsan, may dalawang estudyante na tatawagin and the teacher would ask student A a question and the teacher will ask student B whether or not he or she agrees with what student A says. So there's an ongoing discussion in class. And if you get the right answer, of course, there will be a point. But if you get the wrong answer, sometimes the teacher will ask you to remain standing for the whole duration of the class or sit down. So as a student, it is your job to know the answers, or at least to substantially give him or her a sensible and rational answer to his or her question. Which is why it's so important to be prepared in class. Kadalasan bibigyan po kayo ng case list or reading assignment. So imagine you have 8 to 9 subjects per semester. And kung saswertehan ka, bibigyan kayo ng 20 to 50 cases na teacher nyo, which you will discuss next meeting. So, mababasa mo ba lahat? Maybe yes, maybe no. So the bottom line is you have to be prepared every day. Minsan kasi may mga teachers na magtatanong na anong dissenting opinion ni Justice ganito, Justice ganyan sa kasong ito? Or what was the color of the pickup truck that the perpetrators used? Or what is the meaning of the Latin maxim nemo quod dat non habet or res ipsa locutor? What? The worst recitation I had was during our wills and succession class because I was so nervous because I knew my teacher, one of the best succession teachers in all of the law schools here in Davao City. And so, because of my anxiety, I felt na parang unti-unti po akong sinasakal po dito hanggang sa lumiit yung boses ko until wala na po akong boses and I just literally choked. Sorry, attorney. Ganun po yung reaction ko. Promise. It's moments like that that really makes law school unpredictable. Even though you're prepared for the day, even though you've read all your cases, there will always be a time when your professor throws you a curveball. Don't be afraid to ask for help. During my first year in law school, hindi ko pa rin po na-break yung habit ko na to do things on my own most of the time. Medyo ma-pride din kasi ako. Ayoko po yung nagkakautang na loob po ako sa ibang tao. And so I learned in law school that kailangan mo rin pala yung ibang tao in order to cope. As I've mentioned earlier, imagine if you have 8 to 9 subjects and each subject or each professor will assign you 20 to 30 or 50 cases. Luckily for us, law students, we are practically suffering from the same problems as our classmates. And so what do? Of course, you help each other. And while it is true that law school is a cutthroat environment and that you have to be competitive in order to survive, actually the competition should never be between you and your classmates. Competition should always be against yourself and your ego. I have learned that iba-iba man yung pinanggagalingan natin as law students. Believe me, you will have classmates who are cum laude, summa cum laude, CPA, top-notcher sa board exam, or engineer, or anak ng judge, or anak ng lawyer, or anak ng fiscal. Believe me, in the eyes of your professors, lahat kayo walang alam. Pare-pareho kayong walang alam when you enter law school. And so, I have learned that had I not been adamant to not ask for help from anybody, I would have saved myself a lot of trouble during the first few weeks of law school. Luckily for me, napunta po ko dun sa section or sa batch na kung saan nagtutulong-tulungan po talaga kami. Oh my God, marami akong story about sa batch namin. So now, in our third year, we have our group for case pooling and case digest and transcribing the audio recordings of the lessons of our professors. And number 5! Your life will never be the same. So I'm a pretty outgoing person in real life. Before law school, my life was mostly just work, meeting up with friends, eating out, watching movies. Sana all. Enter law school. Welcome to hell. Joke lang. But seriously, once you enter law school, you will probably miss a lot of social events. A lot of meetups with your family or your friends. I remember being in a coffee shop studying for an exam during Valentine's Day, during Halloween, during Kadayawan Festival. Ganon. it will get lonely sometimes. I can't lie about that. However, I have also learned that the people who truly appreciate you and truly love you and who want to see you succeed, most of the time talaga sila din yung nag-i-encourage sa'yo to study. And they will most likely understand if you can't make it to their birthday or their fiesta or stuff like that, you know? You don't like that? Of course, hindi naman din natin maiiwasan na may magtatampo, especially if palagi na kayo nagka-cancel and hindi kayo nagkita for such a long time. Sorry, inaayos ko po yung bangs ko. The bangs is everything. In such cases, ako na lang din po yung umiintindi sa situation na ganyan kasi alam ko po na some of them don't really understand how difficult it is to study law and to balance your life. Yun, pagpasensya na lang and just try to understand each other. But of course, I also take the time to chill out and have fun, especially after exams.
Ginagawa mo!
Most of the time, yung kasama ko lang din po yung mga classmates ko sa law school. But I'm really happy to call my law school classmates as some of my closest friends right now. Kasi po,
we are brothers and sisters in God.
In Christ.
so that's it. Those are my 5 things that I have learned during my first year in law school. I hope you guys found this video enlightening, whitening, christening, and everything. I hope everyone is safe and at home. Wash your hands, hug your family, and video call your friends, and we will all get through this together. A Greek philosopher once said,